of the organization going forward, right? Then that case you need to have some sort of a culture, right? So a culture is one which actually will try to connect all the people together, and it will allow you to increase the workforce of the organization, right? Okay. Then the second thing why we are talking about culture is like it allows the people to understand the environment, and it allows the people to react also together, right? Some people will actually think about culture to be categorized. They would say that there is possibility for to have a positive culture, and there is possibility for to have a negative culture, right? So let's take an office, right? You have set of people working together in the office. Let's take the office people have a culture of having a meeting every day, right? Which they have a meeting for around 10 minutes, right? So that can be assumed as a positive culture, right? But some people who watch it will say that, let me come and start my job. Then after that, I can actually join a meeting every day in the morning. So there, for those people, it is assumed to be a negative culture. So a culture which is thought as a positive one can be categorized as a negative culture to the other set of people, right? Now, let's go to the next keyword to connect what a culture is. Now, the next keyword we are trying to bring in is something called as morale. What is morale is actually the capacity of a group of people to pull together persistently and consistently in pursuit of a common purpose, right? Now, when you go to the culture definition, we said that there is possibility for groups together to exhibit a behavior which is normal and it is accepted, right? Okay. Now, if you want to go little further and ask, do we all have morale, for example, right? Okay. Yes, each one of us have, right? But it actually stands in the context. Let's take, we have an information coming down to us saying that somebody is not well, okay? Just an example, okay? Somebody is not well. It becomes an information for us, and to us to react to help the person, we'll always ask one question. What is that question would be? It's like, is that person known to you or not? Now let's put two categories. The person who is not well is known to you, right? But the person is known to you for last 3 years, right? On the other side, you are finding a person, but that person is known to you, but that person is positively is your family member or your close family member. Now, if I ask you a question, to which person you will reach, right? Will you reach to a person who is known to you for the last 3 years, or will you reach to a person who is your family member? I think mostly people will say that if it is a family member, immediately I'll try to reach. And once you're trying to reach, then automatically you'll try to find the support of others to help your family member who is in rescue. That's what is called as morale, right? Okay. Now, if you ask what is the other context of a morale, today you see a lot of youths who have come together to help the people who have got affected in COVID. I think you are all watching in TV, right? They all say with one single statement, they say that we want to help the needy people. Now, if you ask them, they say that we are all from different places. We have all got connected in our social media. We all have come together saying that we will try to help the people by providing free food, or we will try to help people by giving free information about the hospitals or the healthcare facilities being available. So there you can see a morale, right? Okay. So morale is actually a capacity of a group of people to pull together persistently, right, and consistently in pursuit of a common purpose. So the common purpose, what we are trying to talk about here is like the possibility of trying to help the people who are in need, who are affected with the COVID here. So now what we have learned here is culture and morale are related. Now, let's look at the negative morale here, right? So possibilities of negative morale generally comes from the theory from all these keywords. One is like you are trying to say that I'm okay as to work as a group, but you do not take any responsibility at all, right? Some people will say that, see, come on, I'll help you. I'll also be in the group, but don't give me any responsibility. That's a negative morale, okay? The next one is weak alignment or line of thought, right? So here, what happens here is like every day, if you are part of a group and you are involved in an activity, you should see the success of the group. right? You cannot just say that, okay, I will do my job, but I'm not sure whether things will be succeeding or not, right? This I can say for smaller examples. Now let's take you watch a stage, right, where there's a musical concert happening, right? The musical concert is going live with so many people trying to sing on the stage, right? If you ask who are all the people involved, somebody would say, I was the person who set the stage. The same group, some set of people will say that, no, no, I was the person who has done all the electrification. Some other group in the same team will say that I was the person who has done the lighting. Now, if all those people go together and they say that, yes, we have done everything, the musical program goes successful. In this, if any one of it is not okay, electrification is not okay, lights is not okay, or the stage is not properly getting illuminated, what happens is it is a failure. So that's the next one, which is called as weak alignment. So every member who is part of the group should actually say that, yes, I'm part of the group activity. I also know what is the success that will happen if I'm doing my role correctly. The next is a possibility where unqualified individuals or negative individuals, right, will try to hold power, right? So here, what happens here is like there is a small problem in certain groups saying that there is not one leader, but there are many leaders. I think you should understand. You can look at this in many places, right? If you see certain organization, when you join the organization, you would find that, okay, you have to report to one person, and after some time, suddenly you get a message, no, no, you have to report to two-person. You get confused. Okay, should I carry the thinking of the person one, or should I carry the thinking of the person two, right? There, what happens is there is a possibility for you to say that I'm not having a good morale. I'm not feeling that I'm part of the group. I cannot accommodate as a group here, right? So there's a lack of leadership, right? That means a single leadership among the group, right? The next one is the last part where people say that I'm having a lot of work, right? I'm supposed to do only little work, but I'm getting more work. So I don't like to work in the group at all. That becomes a negative moral, right? So this all are very simple keywords, but the understanding is needs to be done. If you are part of an activity, whichever it is, it may be a smallest one or the biggest one, if there is no togetherness, if you don't carry a positive morale, then automatically the activity is not going to succeed, right? Okay. Now, let's look at the next part here. If you look at a cultural change, right, the first question somebody would ask is like, if you keep on saying, right, I'm going to make people be part of the group, consistently bring in people to the group, right? How does it happen, right? Okay. So there it is because of only one aspect. One would be is like you are trying to not only change yourself, right, but you are trying to change others also in the group. For example, let's take the COVID situation. I'm trying to take this because it's become a social cause nowadays. All of us fear that we do not want to go out of our home because we might get interacted with some people. There's a possibility for the enzymes to carry inside our body. There's a possibility for individuals to get affected. And the next question we carry in our mind is, okay, I'm not the only member in the family. I need to come back. I have to start interacting with my kids. In case I'm not okay, then automatically my kids are also getting affected. Then the last question you would think is, oh, I have my father and mother. I help a person, I come back, right? If it is going to affect my father and mother, what will happen to the family? Right? So it starts from question saying, are you safe? And then goes to a question saying, is your family safe? Right? Then it goes to a question saying that, is everything safe? Please take the statement, right? This is for everybody, including me. I carry this thought, okay, with the current situation going on. But let's look at the possibility of the self-help groups who are trying to do with the COVID situation. Look at the people, right? IT organizations, people who are working in small offices. In some places they come together, they say that, yes, we all will start helping. Now that starts with only one person, right? One person says, can we make this initiative, right? Now it goes to 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, right? So recently, when I was able to find a requirement, something like this, right, for a person, for a group of people who are infected in COVID in one of the cities, I was very shocked, right? I was able to see an IT organization manager running a group of people, right, from his place. He is driving that set of people and he is saying, okay, you collect the food, you hand over the food, right? The cost that they charge maybe some amount, it may be 20 rupees or 30 rupees, but see the change that they are trying to make. They are saying that you pay me 30 rupees, my person will go to the place, collect the food from the hotel and give to the person who is in need of the COVID food. So a cultural change as such will not come just in a moment. It needs to come from the leader. Now, I was very shocked when I heard this from the person saying that I work for a company, I take care of the company activities, plus I take care of the group of people who are working in that particular city. So the change is come very positively because the leader is very strong. The leader feels that no problem, you give me an work, I'll be able to deliver the food to all the set of people whom you are trying to ask, right? So this is what I'm trying to keep it again and again. You cannot be the change creating person alone. You let to keep on asking people who are in the group and say that, okay, can we all work together? Can we all work together? Finally, it makes a change, right? Now, when you do this, it actually asks you a question again, right? So, can we look at delivering ourselves as a good person, or should we try to adjust ourselves over time, right? This is one thing that each one of us always have an yes or no situation. For example, if I ask myself, am I a perfect person, right? I would say to outside, okay, I am a perfect person, but my inner thought always says, no, no, I'm not perfect. It would say that, see, these are all the places that you should improve. That places of improvement among a group, right, makes you think, okay, am I a person who is having a good morale, right? Am I a person who is able to have people work with me and see the positive change? So there, the question would be is like, you need to understand what you are supposed to deliver, and you need to start asking, is my delivered part that I am supposed to be in the group is working correctly or not? There, the first question that usually comes to the people is, can you adjust your attitude? Okay, that's it's very important. Somebody says, I will actually only speak, but I will not listen. Please take this statement, right? Some people will say, I want you to listen, but don't say anything to me, right? It's like that. So if you have the tendency to say, I can only speak, but I will not listen, then the attitude comes in picture, right? And the second question people will be willing to uh, neglect is, I will not worry about the mistakes, right? I know I committed a mistake, but I will not worry for it, right? So if you are not looking at your mistakes and you are not properly trying to correct yourself, there what happens is you cannot say that you have a good culture or you have a good morale in working together as a team, right? Then the next would be is like, how do you build into your team a small thought process? We'll try to speak up here. Now, let's take this possibility of people who go together, right? Especially I'm trying to talk about youth again and again because the whole seminar is about the youth. The whole set of youth people, right, who come together whenever there is some sort of an environmental disaster, right? Let's take one set of places is getting affected, and that places people are suffering, right? Okay. So there, what they do is they say that, okay, we all form as a group. They say that, okay, we will go around and collect the food items. There, interestingly, I have seen a lot of students, right? Surprisingly, they would not actually come out for any sort of request. But I've seen good students like that who reach to the homes and say, we are trying to collect some rice items or food items for the people who have got some difficulties because of an disaster, right? And we want to deliver the food items. See the small thought process, right? So there you are trying to bring in some sort of an understanding as a team, and you try to ask people to be in your team. When you say, I want to help, right? Nobody will come to say, I also will help, right? But when you say, I want to help with a focus, saying that, see, I want to help for this set of people with this requirement, then people will start coming into your group. So that's the first one. You reconnect with your team by inviting people there into the process. The second one is develop some sort of an emotional intelligence. This, as such, has been the success story for most of the organizations. Some organizations, you can see that we have gone down in performance, but they will say in next 2 years, they say, I have come up in performance. So what is that? They are able to correct us. One, they are able to accept the mistakes because of which they have gone down in performance. And the same way, they are able to learn from the mistakes and try to use it for the improvement. But all of this happens, right, because they are all connected as an organization members. And in a way, they say that we are having emotional intelligence. The third one is a trust, right? What is this trust would be is like you should have a belief among your team members. Okay, you cannot say that, see, I'm the leader, so I will believe only myself. I will not believe you. So you will have to place the belief on your entire team, right? So the entire team is responsible for the success. So as an organization or as part of an activity that you try to do as a group, you should say that, see, my team is successful. You cannot say, as a leader, I'm successful, right? Okay, so that's next one. Have some sort of a trust that will just get created among your members. The next one is be appreciative. What is this appreciative would be is like try to reward your team. Try to reward your members who are part of the team. Sometimes it is not possible. For example, if you're part of a team where you are involved in some sort of a societal activity, you cannot expect your team to be rewarded, right, by yourself. You can expect your team to be rewarded by the society. Maybe the society will reward you, right? They will say that, yes, okay, you have done a good job. So we want to call you and say that you are a good person in the society. Last one is some sort of a socialization that has to come up, right? When you say that we are all as a team, it should never carry a feeling that you are trying to hide something from the other person, right? If you follow with a cause and you are traveling with a cause, you should be able to say, this is my goal, and for this goal, this is my thought, and you should be able to say, my thought is now carried by all the members of the team. Please understand this, right? When you say, what is my thought, I would actually say like this. Every day, if you want to deliver 5 food packets, right, to the people who are in need, right, then your thought is very simple. You want to deliver 5 food products. You have only two team members. So you would say one team member will deliver 2 food products, another team member will deliver 3 food products. Right? So you have to socialize as a team, and you have to keep on going better. The next one is trying to have some sort of a skills that will actually try to come up to the team members. Now, these skills can be coming from a very basic level, right, to a higher administrative skills also. Now, how do we do this skills going? Would be it's like you have to learn, right? As a team member, you have to learn what is the activity that are going on. And as a team member, you should be able to understand, okay, this has been the mistakes that is done in the past. As a team member, you should be willing to have a mentor who could actually improve the confidence of your team, right? Okay. Now, the last one is adjusting the workspace environment. What is this workspace? Is this workspace keyword is not a physical workspace all the ways. Sometimes it is a physical workspace, right? You say that I have 10 people in my office. So where is your office? Okay, this is my office. It's one floor. I got 10 people working. So you talk about a physical workspace. The other one that you talk about is not a physical workspace. It's a logical workspace, right? You say that we don't have an office, but all of us are connected on the mobile, right? All of us work logically. All of us get the request. Among us, we actually handle the request. So that's an example of a logical workspace. Then next would be is like the communication that you try to carry among the members of the group, right? As I told you, you should have a capability to follow through a two-way communication. So what is this two-way communication is you are trying to talk, the other person should listen. If the other person talks, you should also be willing to listen. So that's a very important one. Listen and promote two-way communication, right? And the next is as a team, right? You should not have any space for rumors, right? Okay, somebody's appreciating the other member. It should not send a rumor saying that the person is biased in the team. The next one is you should be able to have the mission of the organization, right, carried by the employees, right? If you say my mission of the organization is to develop a cultural value, right, that should be first felt by the employees. The next one is have some sort of a formal and informal habits. What is this formal habit? What is this informal habit is? I'll just say you some examples what I have heard very surprisingly, right? I'm not naming any organization, right? First, I have heard of one of the organization that runs a petrol bunk, okay? That organization's thought process is very simple. They want every customer to come in happy and they want to go out happy. I'm talking about a petrol bunk organization. Now, their second thought would be is like they do not want to have any sort of extra amount collected by the customer, right? That means the customer need not pay back any extra amount. If it is 17.65, the bill will be only 17.65. No round of value will come in the bill. Okay, this is a habit the organization follows. Now I'll give you one more example. There's another organization which runs a taxi, tours and travels, right? Their organization, what their concept is very simple. Their formal habit says very clearly that the person should arrive on time. Ma'am, am I audible, ma'am? Hello?
Yes, sir, you
Yes,
are
sir.
audible.
Audible,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Audible.
Yes, sir.
Audible.
Thank
You are
you.
continuous, sir.
Yeah. So that organization says that the person should arrive on time. Okay. That's a normal expectation. So your driver should arrive on time. The second rule of that organization is the driver as such should be having a clean face, no dusted face. Okay. So how do they ensure this is like the organization says we have got spot checks. The car drivers will be checked at spot points. If that driver is not properly dressed in that particular taxi, right, and that person is not having any clean face outlooks, then automatically the driver's tariff will be reduced. That means the revenue for the driver will be reduced, right? Okay. That is one other organization which I know. I'm not talking about technical organizations. Please understand, right? I'm talking about organizations that have grown in success. There's one other organization, their concept is very simple. Every day you come inside to the office, right? Okay, morning. Once you reach to the office, to understand you are physically fit, okay, they have a march fast, right? March fast means it's not physically type march fast, right? Not like a schools. You just go for a march fast or a walk for at least 10 to 15 minutes and start your office. So this is other habit they follow, right? These are some things which I'm trying to say, right? When you follow some sort of formal and informal habits, you are trying to communicate to the outside people saying that, see, come on, this organization is an organization, but we have some value in a way. We are trying to have some habits among ourselves, right? That's the next one. The next would be how you are going to put up your goals, right? This as such, is taken differently by different people. When you say, what is the goal of the organization? Somebody would say, my goal is to improve the revenue, right? Okay, because all you need is business, money, and so on. Somebody will say, no, no, my goal is actually, as part of an organization, is to increase the number of customers. Now, somebody will say, no, no, my goal is very simple. As part of the organization, I actually, as part of the member of the organization, will participate in every success, right? And I hold the responsibility for every failure that occurs in the organization. Please understand the statement. As a member, you say that I'm responsible for the success. I'm part of the success of the organization. The second thing you are saying, see, if there is a failure, I also hold the responsibility for the failure, right? This is something which you need to understand always. So your goal as such needs to be set for every organization, and that needs to be measurable. So here people talk about something called as mission and vision. All of us in colleges, right, we have something called as a mission statement. We have something called as a vision statement of the organization. The same way every organization also says that I have a mission, and I have a vision. The next thing that people who are part of the organization will say that, see, okay, towards a mission, towards a vision of the organization, this is what is my contribution, right? This is what is the value I'm trying to make towards the organization that will improve the mission and vision of the organization, right? Then last would be to be understood as like, members should not say that, as I have been saying again and again, I'm not responsible. Sometimes you can see in the organization, see, I'm not responsible for the failure, right? I'm not responsible for any mistake that has happened. So lack of accountability should not happen. People should say that, yes, I'm responsible for what has happened, right? You actually have a ownership towards time, because any successful company, they will say that, see, my stakeholders are my employees, right? So that's the next one here. Now, what are we trying to talk about again and again is more about culture. So, this is the next statement from Peter Drucker. He says that culture eats change for breakfast. Okay. Now, let's see how this goes together. If you can look at this, this is from Sandra Bloom. Uh, Person says a traumatic experience impacts the entire person, the way we think, the way we learn, the way we remember things, the way we feel about ourselves, the way we feel about other people, and the way we make sense of the world. Okay. So here the conclusion is very simple. Experience actually categorizes in many ways, right? If I ask each one of you what has been the good experience in your life, each one of you will say, this is my good experience. If I ask each one of you saying that, what is the experience that is still very much memorable, right? Okay. That experience as such will actually say, this has been the happenings that has made me to come up to this experience. For example, I'm just putting in a small scenario, right? Let's take a successful company, right, which is run by 10 people in the organization, right? Suddenly goes to a loss. Take the statement, right, properly. A company is there, which is run by 10 people, and it is gone to a loss. Loss means the company cannot run. Now, if you ask about the experience of the owner of the company, the owner will say, okay, we have learned something. We still remember what we have done, right? And now the question would be is like, how will we face ourselves in the outside part? Can we go to the outside and say that my company is in loss? I cannot lead the company, right? It is for everybody, right? You can see the pathetic situation right around the COVID, right? You can see mm, right in the media. I'm just saying small examples. The family is in trouble. They put up information saying that the family head is not able to run the family because of the financial stress. So whatever has been the success of the person is becoming the failure now. Please understand the statement. Whatever has been the success of the family head means who is leading the family, becomes a failure at one point of time. So who is responsible for this at this time? Nobody is responsible. Even the head is not responsible. Not the family is not responsible, but it's only the environment. So environment makes a change. What I'm trying to put up here is the environment makes a change and makes you to learn better and better, right? So now let's things becomes better and the person feels better who is leading the family. The person says, okay, now I'm very happy. Now if you ask the person, do you still remember how did you suffer in the last past? The person will say, yes, I know what I suffered for every day in my family, right? So that's this whole thing about working around the change in the organization. A change in the organization is also like a family, because an organization is like a family. You have members, right? Like you have in your family. Only difference is you know the members of your family and you are all emotionally connected in the family. Within a family, if you ask, let's take one person is not okay, a kid is not okay, the mother is not okay. I hope people will agree. I'm also bringing fathers just for example. Okay, fathers also will not feel happy, but the mother is with the kid most of the time. A kid is crying, a mother also will become little bit sad. some emotional connect, right? But the same thing, if you want to bring it into an organization, it will not happen just like that. You will have to bring in among every members in the organization and say that, see, this is your organization. You are part of this organization, and you will have to realize that any success or failure, you are also responsible, right? So there, it actually takes a lot of time to happen, it, right? So that's the same thing that they are trying to come about here. So a traumatic experience and impacts the entire person. The way we think, the way we learn, the way we remember things, the way we feel about ourselves, the way we feel about other people, and the way we make sense of the world. Okay. This is a most appropriate statement you ask people, including me, at this COVID situation, right? You ask people who are is in the biggest positions or in the smallest position. Everybody says this is a time where you have to know what you know from the past, and you will have to know that this should not happen for the future, right? So anyway, this is just I'm connecting this to keep things understandable. Now our discussion is more about change, right, and morale, right? That's what we are trying to comment again and again. Now our question here again we will start asking is like, is it like we are trying to have behaviors as an example of a negative moral? That's one thing to be understood. And second thing is like, since because we are trying to learn more and more, okay, are we trying to say that no, no, our system is not perfect? So this is totally a question which sometimes is very hard to answer. So to solve it, they suggest two factors. One factor would be is like, you can ask yourself, what's wrong with you, right? What's wrong with you? And if you want to know what's wrong with you, you can also ask the second question, what happened to you? Okay. Third, you can start asking, okay, no, no, this is a culture you should follow, right? Now you can see this in most of the situations. If you're part of an organization, right, and you have not succeeded in an activity, then the organizational head, the leader will ask you, what's wrong with you, right? The second thing the leader will start asking is, what happened to you, right? That's the second thing. The third thing the leader would try to suggest is, no, no, this is a culture I'm expecting from you to follow, right? Okay. So this is what we call it as a trauma informed care, right? And this is positively expected to give a culture change among the members in the sense, if it is a company, among the youths who are working in the company, it will give a positive change, right? Now let's look at the next factor, which is the human behavior, right? uh, this is mostly connected because if you ask a very common statement, everybody will say that I have been a good person when I have been a kid, right? As I grow and grow, and I become very matured, I've not been able to be the same good person. This is one statement that will come from everybody, right? Uh, so if you ask me, no, no, I'm not like that. I've been as like what I've been as a very, very, very good person in the kid, as a kid. Okay, if that's a statement from each one of you, then I would always ask you like this. Let's take you have a belonging with you, some belonging which is precious, which you have in your hand. Okay, fine. Now if I ask you how much sincere will you hold that belonging, assume that it is very precious. You'd say, no, no, I will not miss it. I will hold it. I will try to safeguard it. Then you will think, okay, will it be safe or not? You will go to the bank locker and keep the belonging. Okay, this is just, I'm just saying an example. But let's take you being a kid. Okay, fortunately, you have the same precious one in your hand. You are just a kid. Okay, you don't know anything about the value, numbers, nothing. You just have the precious item in your hand. So now what happens is, if you ask you how safe will you hold the precious item, you would say, if I've been a kid, I will not give it to anybody. Even if my best friend in the class asks me, give me that precious item, I will not give, right? So your human mind is totally different if you're being a kid, if you're being a person now. So what happens is, your experience matters. Assume that you have been a person who have been a kid. You lost that precious item at one point of time. You get that precious item after some time. That means after some age. You will make sure that you will hold that precious item and you will say that the precious item should not be lost. The same is connected to the cultural change also. Whenever your human mind is experiencing a cultural change, the human mind as such will try to follow that or will try to ignore it, right? So that's what we are trying to see next. So this is discussed in terms of the human behavior. All of your human behaviors comes from the brain, right? Okay. And brain as such, each one of us know it is having the biological aspects and it follows the laws of mathematics, right? What is the law? What is that we are talking about? Laws of mathematics. It stands with a statement saying, if it feels good, it must be good for me and it must be repeated. Okay. This is what is your brain will say. This is most connected for anything. For example, if you go to a hotel and you taste a food, right, and your food is looks good for you, right? Once you come out of the hotel, you will think, okay, this is a good hotel where I find a good food, and you will try to taste the same food over the time. The same thing is available with respect to people in an organization also. If a person is part of the organization and the person feels good, right, the person will feel good, better, and the person will say that I will continue with the organization, right? The other statement I think people know, right? If the person doesn't feel good and the person continues to stay with the organization, over time the person will think, okay, when will I leave the organization? Now, this will take you to the keyword called as addiction. So what is this addiction here is? Addiction is a physical adaptation of the reward pathways of the brain to the repeated presence of dopamine surging chemicals, right? This is from the medical terminology, right? Now, what you have to take it for your learning is addiction is a keyword of adaptation of the reward pathways, right? That means you like something, you keep on repeating that because you feel that you are addicted, right? See the evolution of the cerebrum, right? I think this is just a thought process for each of you, right? This is where we are as human beings, right? Okay, this has comparisons with other ones. Here you can see a frog, right? Okay, so here you can see other reptiles, all that. Now, the thought processes, like we have a cerebrum, the other ones also have a cerebrum, right? Like we have a thought process, the other ones also have a thought process. But we say our senses are higher and we have more logical and thinking capability compared to the other ones that you see in the diagram. Now, if you look to your human brain, this four will be very important. One is the cerebral cortex, next is the corpus callosum, then you have the thalamus, the next is hypothalamus. All these four are very important for you to perceive whatever you listen, understand, think, and keep it remembering always. So this is again continuation of it. Okay. Now, this slide should make you think right now. See, all of us are trying to listen, but there's a big question in our mind. Okay, can I accept the change or not? That is where you can see different faces on the screen, right? So what is this change? It's very simple. Let's take you are part of an organization, okay? And the organization says that you can come to office from 9 o'clock and you can leave at 4 o'clock. Please understand this point. You can start at 9 o'clock and you can leave back at 4 o'clock, right? Now, suddenly the organization says you can come to nine office at 9 o'clock, but you can leave only at 5 o'clock, right? There, the next question would be is like your mind will start asking question. Earlier, I had worked between 9 to 4. Now they are asking me to work between 9 to 5. the number of hours have increased. Why should they increase the number of hours? Right? I'm just saying a small example, right, about a change. The next change would be basically in the working environment, right? So let's take, you have around 5 tasks to complete every day, right? 5 tasks to complete every day. And suddenly the organization says from tomorrow, you are supposed to complete 7 tasks. You will find the change to be acceptable or not acceptable, right? So now let's take this scenario. You have 5 tasks to complete every day. You are spending 4 hours. Please take a point. You are spending 4 hours to complete 5 tasks. Your working hours is 6 hours. So if you have spent 4 hours to complete the task, you have 2 more hours to do the rest of the activity. Please understand the concept. You have 2 more hours to complete the activity. Now the organization says you are supposed to complete 5 tasks. So you have to spend around 5 hours. Your working time is 6 hours. So you feel if I'm going to do for 5 hours, I'm left with only 1 hour, right? Then automatically your attitude or the attachment in going together as a group, right, will not be acceptable. You will feel little hard. So that's why we say that change is very hard because it's not you are thinking, your brain is thinking. Please understand, right? So if you apply this to a cultural behavior, so the statement will go like this. If it feels good, it must be good for me and it must be repeated, right? The same thing. If you put it reverse, what you will say? If I don't feel safe, if I cannot move forward, right? So what you can do, either you can express your suggestions, right? That means you can express, you can go to some sort of debate saying that no, no, I'm not willing to accept this as a group. Or you can actually try to freeze in the sense, very simple, you will not accept nor you will reject. You will have a neutral thought process, right? Okay. So the question is very simple. When you are trying to have a cultural behavior, the cultural behavior is not going to affect the group, it's going to affect all the groups in the organization. Now, let's see the next statistics that is proposed by Rogers. So here, if you can see here, there is a set of people who call themselves as innovators, right? Okay. Now, there is a set of people who call them as traditionalists, right? So, whenever you want to bring in a change, right, in an organization, among the people here, there are two things that will complement always. One, what is going to come from the innovators? What is expressed by the traditionalists, right? So innovations, that is innovators as such, will impose changes in smaller manner. But traditionalists is not like that. They will try to bring in the changes in a more quicker manner, right? And when you're talking about this, there will be possibility for people who will adopt this in the early stage, and it is expected that the adoption will improve over the time, right? Okay. So the conclusion here is like the change will happen because people come to believe that it will happen. Okay. So if you have a small number of people in a small number of situations started behaving very differently, and that behavior spreads to other people in similar situations, right? This is actually connected to possibility of saying that the entire set of people will not work, right? This is what is the most common thing that you can find in offices that goes to a strike or a lockdown, right? I think you can understand. If the offices go to a strike or a lockdown, it doesn't start from the entire organization. It starts from the smallest group within the organization. So one of this group in the organization will feel that they are not happy with the way things are going on. So automatically those groups will try to communicate to the other group members that things are not okay. And automatically it starts getting spread. So the good trust, right? Or if you go back to this statement, if I feel good, it's good for me. And and it must be repeated will become false. So here, what happens is some set of people are not happy. So it spreads to the other set of people within the organization, and it becomes a behavior which is explicitly presented to the outside people saying that no, we are not going to be united. There is possibility for a strike. Okay. So this is slightly very dangerous in terms of organization because a change that you're trying to provide within an organization, if it affects a small set of group, it is going to affect the rest of the groups in the organization. So there are a lot of stories of many organizations that has suddenly fallen down because the smallest group in the organization is not happy. I think somebody's audio is on. Please check yourself. Okay. Now, the question here is very simple. How do you impact your culture and how do you produce a positive culture and a right? So this is very hard, right? Let's take you take a scenario of a set of people who work for a school. Let's take it like a set of people who work for a school. So let's take the school was running with 100 students, right? The school was running with 100 students. Now, just because of the current scenarios, let's take the school is now running with 10 students. See the count. 100 students a school is running, and suddenly it has dropped down to 10 students, right? See the thought process of the leader. How will the leader try to assume this 10 students will become 100 students? And second thing, how will that leader motivate the members of the same school, right? So there you have to go back to the possibility of building a culture, and that will happen only when the members of the school in this situation will say that, yes, I have a moral. My moral is very simple. I will stand with the success or with the failure of the organization, right? So here people will start asking, okay, who is the leader, right? Okay. So leader is one who can actually guide you and who can support you, right? Okay. Now somebody will say that who is the topmost leader? Somebody would say the director, the chief executive officer is called as a leader. But please understand, you are the most important leader in your organization for the people who look to you, right? This you will feel it very happy if I show you some situations that you had been a leader. For example, the listeners who are here who are working with the institutions, right? If I ask you like who are your leaders, they would say my head of the department is a leader, my principal is my leader, my director is a leader, and so on. Right? Okay, it's like that. Now let's take it like this. Let's take you are part of a function which is conducted in your college, and that function needs to supposed to be a cultural event. You are in a smallest committee. Please understand, you are in a smallest committee of the cultural event. The committee that you are, just for an example, is the seating arrangement of the hall, right? Seating arrangement of the hall, right? So the cultural event purpose is to deliver a cultural event to a set of people who come and watch, right? Anyway, that is going to be done by a set of students who perform on the stage. Now, your role is very simple: to have the chairs seated, put some stickers wherever it is, fine, and make them seated, right? Now, if somebody asks, okay, how successful was the cultural event? One, somebody would say it was very nice. I heard a lot of music, so the event was a very success. Somebody asks, okay, how successful was the cultural event? Everybody says, all of us got a chair, right? All of us need not wait for a chair. Each one of us got a seat once we entered inside the hall. There it becomes a success, right? There, if you ask who is the leader is only you because you had been part of a committee and you had been making people to say, okay, you please sit here, sit there. And you are not the only person who would have done. With you, there would have been other members in the group with whom you would have said, if somebody is coming in the left side, make them sit in the left. Somebody is coming from the right side door, make them to sit in the right side door. Somebody is coming from the VIP level, make them to sit in the front row. So you have managed the show. So you can always feel happy that you are a leader as a group, right? Though you have a leader above you can always say, and in that particular context, in this context of seating arrangement in a function, you say that you are the leader as part of the group, right? So this is one thing that you should keep it onto your mind always. Anyone who has a leadership capabilities, even in the smallest context, will always become a leader on one point of time, right? Now, next question. Do you believe the answer to culture change, right, is really one person at a time? Yeah, it's generally, it is only one person at a time, because if you see the proverbs or the success statements people say, who can make the change? There they will say it is only you, right? Anywhere, right? Who can make the change? It is only you. So the answer to the culture change is really one person at a time. Next, what are you tolerating now that should not be tolerated? If this is the question that I ask each one of you, you would have many answers, right? You would say, I'm tolerating my patience, right? You understand the statement, right? You're tolerating your patience because your patience is one time not okay, right? Your patience is getting increased and increased. Now, the other things that you should understand here is, as part of a group, when you all stay as a group and do an activity, right? Everybody will try to have their own thoughts. So you are in a position to listen to many people, right? So it is not with experience. You cannot say one person should not comment or give a suggestion. So if there are 10 people in the group, you are listening to 9 members at the same time, right? So maybe you would think that at that time, okay, this many people are asking me questions. Should I tolerate or should I not tolerate? Right? So the context changes from one place to another place. For example, if you are a director of a company, please understand the statement. If you are a director of a company, every year you are giving a bonus of 50 percentage, 50 percentage. You have 10,000 plus employees in the organization. Please note this, you have 10,000 plus employees in the organization. And let's take, you happen to say that because of COVID, I'm not able to give 50% bonus. I cannot give 50%, I can give only 5% bonus. Please see this. I can give only 5% bonus. There, you should have the skill to listen to everybody's expression. And you should be able to give them a positive message saying, you believe with me, and we will go to the next year, right? Okay, so that's the next one. What are you tolerating now that you should not be tolerated? Is you should hold a lot of patience and you should be able to express everything clearly to the outside people in the sense as part of the same group. The next, where is the power in your organization? Who is setting the tone, right? This, I think everybody will say the leader will be the powerful person in the organization. But again, as I told you, every leadership holds in the individual. The same example of a cultural event, if you ask who is going to start the arrangements, the person will say, first let it be a seating arrangement, then there can be a staging arrangement, right? So the power resides in the individual. It can be you itself. So the power of a particular event, the power of a group resides in every individual. The next one, who is setting the tone? What does the tone means is like the success part, right? Can you say, okay, everything will happen correctly or not? One person from the group will say that, yes, I'm very sure it will happen, right? So who is setting the tone is very important. So somebody who has the capability of setting the tone becomes a good leader, right? You can take it in every place that you come across. The next one, are you a bystander? Are you conforming, managing, or leading? Okay. So here, if you ask any successful leaders in an organization, be it among the youth or be it among the set of people that you see in companies, they will say that we are not leaders alone. We will be a bystander also. We'll be a manager also. We will also be a person who can conform to the requirements of the group, right? So if you want to be a good leader, you should be a good manager, you should be a good bystander, you should also be a person who can conform to the views of other people. So if I ask you, what can be one behavioral change that you will undertake for the next 30 days to impact organizational culture, right? Here, everybody will come up with a lot of suggestions, right? Now, I will give you a context from which I have taken two examples. Okay, I'll just say you that examples. First one that I came across is, let's take you want to bring in a small change in your organization, right? Where you are working, right? And let's take you happen to say that the organization is to be a restaurant. Just an example here. The organization a person is working is a restaurant. Fine. And the person wants to make a small behavioral change. Right? Okay. One change would be like, let's take somebody says hospitality is the biggest change in any restaurant. I think everybody will believe you need to have a good hospitality for people to feel happy in the restaurant, right? So one change that they can try to bring in would be is like whenever they are delivering any food to the person in the table. Are you getting? Whenever you are delivering any food to the person in the table, right? You can actually have a politeness in delivering the food. I think people can understand, right? Rather than asking what you need, right? It is always possible for you to ask that, excuse me, what you need. I think you can understand, right? What you need is one statement. Other statement I'm saying is, excuse me, what you need. So the second one will be look very pleasant to the person who is listening. Even if you are the person who is ordered for the food, you'll feel happy when somebody is asking you, excuse me, what do you need? Okay, right? This is one thing. The second thing is, which I saw in the articles in restaurants, is they are suggesting that rather than having a set of servers alone who will go and deliver the food, right? Okay. So let's take the server is there and the food delivery is happening within the restaurant. Instead of having only servers, have some sort of people who will have some sort of a management role. So let's take if you go inside a restaurant and the restaurant has got around 100 tables, right? Rather than having one person alone for managerial role for every 10 tables, you can have one person who will do the service roles. That means if there are 10 people with 100 tables, every 10 table is seen by one manager, right? So there will not be a problem that people are not getting food in time. Okay. So this is something that anybody can actually bring in as an impact to the organization, right? The other one that I was able to go through is basically with respect to transports, right? Taxis, right? You can see in all the organizational change with the taxis, you can see that nowadays when you're traveling in taxi, you are not forced to make a physical payment, right? They don't say that, okay, you pay by cash. They just say that, okay, one option is they say you can go for online and you can make a payment, right? That you feel happy, okay, my payment is immediately made. The second one they suggest is you actually pay in advance and you can travel. Like the company say that, okay, you pay an advance of 1,000 rupees. Until you spend 1,000, you can actually travel. Some companies they say that, no, no, you need not pay any money. Take your travel. After you reach to your place, right, pay within another 10 days, right? So the mode of payment becomes a change here. So as an organization in all the taxi transports, now all these three modes have come. And to make it more better, now what they do is like wherever you're sitting, they keep a valid card and you can actually scan your from your Google Pay or whatever it is, and you can make your payment, right? So these are some things which you can assume it as a change. Now, when you do this, the question will come up, what will be the possibility when it is for a bigger organization? If it is 10 people, it's okay. If it is 100 people, what will happen? If it's 1,000 people, what will happen? There, what people believe is people believe on the managers. So if I have 10 people, I do not need a manager. If I have 20 people, I might say that I need two managers, one manager for 110 people and another manager for another 10 people, right? Okay. So your managers can be take care of the role of connecting to the people and trying to communicate what you want to say. Now, let's see the next statement. As individuals, our most tragic outcome is to have been there all the time and no one ever to have noticed, right? So this, I think, people will agree. People will say that, see, I work so much for the organization, right? I've been part of the team, but nobody's recognizing me. Nobody is understanding that I have been the person who has built the success for the team, right? So this is one thing that will happen, right? This falls under anonymous. Anonymous in the sense you know that you have worked, but nobody else know that you have worked, right? And if you are experiencing for a longer time, it might result in only one answer. The person will quit the organization because the person will feel that I do not have any uniqueness in my organization where I'm working. Okay. Now, these are the questions that are in front of us. Do you believe the answer to culture change is really one person at a time, right? As you see now, it happens from the individual, it happens as a group, it happens from culture at the subgroup, that means subcultures, and subcultures together will bring in a culture change in the organization, right? Next, what are you tolerating now that should not be tolerated, right? Answers are many, right? You may not like the team manager, you may not like the team member, right? But assume that in your project that you're working, you're going to work with the manager only for next 3 months. The answer is very simple. If you tolerate for next 3 months, you will again get to the next new team where you might see a new manager, right? That's the answer for the second question. Where is the power in your organization? As I told you, is it in the leader? No, it's in every individual person who are part of the organization. The next, who is setting the tone, right? Who is handling the team? Who is handling the changes in the organization? So there, the answer is generally coming from the leaders. So leaders will be one who will actually try to communicate the changes. The leaders will be one who will try to monitor the changes in the organization. The next, are you a bystander? Are you conforming, managing, or leading? As I told you, most of the successful leaders will say that I also will be a bystander. I also will be a leader. I also will be a manager. I will also conform to other views in the among the team. Now, this is the first one that I want people to know. Now, the second one that I want you to walk through would be is like there are a lot of tools which are there as part of the change management, right? This is This is a tool which is called as a nano tool. Okay. So if you go here and type nano tool culture management, yeah, you can just see here, you will get a tool which is available. And this tool is a very promising tool, right? And this tool is successful for understanding the changes among the leaders, right? So if you can go here, you'll be able to go and see some more inputs about the tool. Okay. Now, when you come to this tool part, right, this tool as such will actually say that in any sort of communication that happens among the team members, right, you can try to see what type of communications will come up, and that is listed as a set of actions, right? As you can see here, the actions will be listed one after the other. And the next, they actually try to communicate about how the leaders are using it. You can see most of the popular leaders here, they have cited Ford is using it, right? Then Tony Shaw, right, is using it. Okay, so most of the leaders are using this tool. So this is one thing that I want you to know. Then the next one, which I happen to go through, is from the IPMA. So if you go and place this URL, yeah. So if you go and place this URL, you can find more details with respect to what we are discussing. This speaks about more about the difficulties with respect to human cultural changes as a team. So here there are a lot of discussions that they have proposed, right, with respect to the impact of COVID. Fine. So this is one thing that I want you to go through. Then, yeah, there is another link which is proposed from Berkeley website. Okay, so it's other link from Berkeley website. So if you go here, yeah, this will give you insight about the popular toolkits that are there for change management, right? Okay. Hello. So here you can see a change management toolkit being proposed. And this is a proprietary toolkit which is from Berkeley website. That's a Berkeley University. Then next one here, which you can try to see is actually a material, right? This is very good paper which is on the internet, which speaks about the change management components. One second. So you can see here, this is a very good study that they have made with respect to how the organizational cultural change, right, will have an impact on the ERP systems. ERP in the sense enterprise resource planning systems. So there they have proposed how the cultural change has been adopted, right? So if you go down to the paper in the article, yes, okay. These are all the cultural changes that they have tried to categorize, right? Okay, please see here. One set of cultural change that they talk about is basically from the internal focus areas, and other is from the external focus areas, right? And here there are two things that they are debating again and again in the organizational culture is whether they will have some sort of flexibility, and if there's more flexibility, will it handle the stability of the organization also? So the culture as such is divided into four categories. One is called as a group culture, second is development culture, third is hierarchical culture, and fourth one is a rational culture. Group, development, hierarchical, and next is rational culture here. So each culture as such have their own constraints, right? For example, as we told you, if you are together as a group in an organization, do you hold some sort of a trust? Do you feel that you are belonging to the organization? This falls under group culture. If you fall under a development culture, the question is very simple. Do you have any sort of a creativity, right? If you fall under a hierarchical culture, then the question would be like, do you have a possibility of saying who is controlling what within the organization? Do you have a coordination among the members of the organization? This falls under hierarchical culture. The last one is a rational culture, which speaks about the goal of the organization. When you say goal, it's not directly saying that I have reached the goal. It's more connected to say that we are involved in some sort of planning, we are looking at productivity, and we want to match the performance. So all these four type of cultures have been considered here, which is group culture, development culture, hierarchical culture, and next is rational culture. And the next forward, if you can see here, for each of the cultures, they have provided the sub-dimensions. For example, if you say group culture, it's not connected only to the individual, right? It's more connected about the welfare, involvement, training, supervisory support. Like that, they have categorized the development culture also with sub-dimensions, right? Then next is with respect to rational culture, the sub-dimensions have been provided. And with respect to hierarchical culture, the sub-dimensions have been provided, right? Okay. So this in totally proposes around 17 dimensions, right? If you can see here, you can see here, this is 6, 6 plus 3, 9, okay? Then here, if you come down, you will have 6 dimensions, another 2 dimensions for hierarchical culture. Totally around 17 dimensions are there for the cultural types, right? Now, the next forward, what they do is they look at this in terms of an ERP. It's an enterprise resource planning, right? Okay. So how do they comment here is like most of the ERP organizations are following a systematic way for data handling. Most of the ERP organizations have a proper way of handling any sort of production. So if you ask how does this happen, okay, let's take it for an example. If you talk about the tires, right, all of us are driving cars, right? You say that you have a car, you have tires, you have a bike, you have tires. Now if you ask the tire production unit, right, you should always understand that the tire production unit doesn't run within a smaller space, right? So at one side of the tire production unit, there is a set of raw materials that are being pushed on, and the machinery starts working, and the machineries run for close to a half a kilometer. Please understand here. The machinery runs for half a kilometer with set of pipeline stages. And finally, on the other side, what you see is a tire which is being manufactured. Now, the set of raw materials that are pushed in one side of the organization, on the other side becomes a tire, doesn't happen as a magic. There are a lot of managerial operations that happens with respect to the ERP, right? And that managerial operations are more connected to the operational or in the strategic or in the administrative aspects of how the quality of the tires are produced on the other side. To make all this happen, ERP is in place for every organization, right? Now, the same thing will look very complex. If you talk about car production units, right? One side, the car components are getting arrived. Other side, the car components are being assembled, right? And automatically the car is getting manufactured, right? But if you ask the size of the plant, they would say it's not half a kilometer. They will say it's more than several kilometers through which it is pipelined, and at the other end the cars are getting assembled, right? So here the next that they talk about would be the organizational culture, right, and its equivalent success, right? Here the common thing that you should understand here is when you look at organization and technology, both of them are always connected, right? Because when you say that you want to influence the members of the organization, it's more around the technology. Like simple thing, you talk about the lectures that happens nowadays, right? Even my lecture that is happening now, we are not physically there to deliver the lecture, but the technology enables it. The same thing here when you look at an organization and the way the organization functions, there the technology becomes a solution and says that I have given a solution, please follow the solution to complete the particular task, right? Okay, so that is how the organization actually impacts everything. But here the challenges that generally comes up is basically from the employees level, right? People generally have their own culture. They will say I want to work in my individual manner, and people will say that this is how I will actually transfer my information from myself to the other member in the group, right? So the flow of information is a challenge, right? So all these challenges are being presented in the findings, as you can see here, right? As we go down to the paper and start seeing more detail, right? They also talk about the more other findings. Here, the other findings that you should try to understand is the more around the decision aspect of an ERP functioning, right? All that has been presented. Now, in the forward, what they present is how the research design can be proposed for this case study. The case study that they have taken is for an ERP organization, right? ERP system, right? So here, the findings you'll just see here. Yeah. So here, this is the profiles of the firms where they are trying to analyze what type of ERP works. For example, joint venture, right? Example is a pharmaceutical company. An Oracle ERP is used. Similarly, for a joint venture for an automobile, SAP ECC is used, right? And see the modules. When you look at the modules will have some commonness among the firms. For example, if you take firm A and firm B, C, both of them has financial, right? But accounting will be there in firm A, but accounting will not be there in firm C, right? So each organizations will have their own type of ERP modules, right? This is first challenge. And next one is people who are part of the organization, because we are talking about change management, right? our discussion again and again is very simple. What is the type of people who will fall into the organization? So here, if you look at a firm which is falling under type A, you will have a CEO. So your assumption is the head is the CEO, right? The next is the experience of the person. Okay. Then next, similarly, the other members. So they have actually got some input from all the key members who are assumed to be the prime leaders of the organization, right? So the first column is actually the type of the firm. So firm type can be A, B, C, or it can be D. Fine. Now, next what they do is they actually want to have an understanding about the cultural aspect of every company, right? To understand the cultural aspect, right, they have developed a software called as NYO 10.0. Okay, if you go to the internet and type NIO 10.0, okay, you will get it. Okay, fine. So this is a software that is being created for handling the cultural aspects of the company, right? Okay. So here, whatever values have been populated, they are trying to see how that can be done. So to take it better, they keep a sentence. For example, sentences everyone in our company has a good rapport and enjoys working together. So they just see what type of dimension it comes in. So what is the sub dimension that you see here is this one. Please understand, I'm talking from the practical aspect. So this is actually the sub dimension part, right? Okay. So if you can see here, these are all the sub dimensions, right? Sub-dimensions. So the sentence given is everyone in the company has togetherness, for example, right? That falls under a group culture, right? Under this, you say everyone. So it falls under G5. Please understand, your sentence is everyone in our company. So it's a group culture. And under that sub-dimension will fall under G5. G5 is nothing but the integration part. Now, when you come down here, the discussion would be understandable, right? You are having an input sentence. So based on the input sentence, you say it falls under the subdimension G5 and the cultural type is group culture, right? So next what they do is they try to understand the cultural type, right? By organizing the company with respect to different type of sentences, right? So this is all sentences. Please understand here. Everyone in our company has a very good rapport and enjoy working together, right? Just now we told it's a group culture. Fine. So similarly, it will fall under the dimension of involvement. The employees understand, support, and help each other and just do the job well. It's a group culture. Fine. And again, it can fall under the sub-dimensions like this, right? Similarly, for the other sentences that are there for the individual companies, they have talked about 4 companies here. The sentences are provided and they try to see the corresponding sub-dimension and the cultural type under which it follows, right? That's what you can see in the table. Then what they present here is the coordination mechanisms that can needs to be followed in the company and what are the defects, right? Means the what is all not there, right? So here they talk about the possible effects of coordinating mechanism. So here each place they try to comment about which is all the success aspect. For
खुद ही
example,
ऐसे हैं
hello.
क्यों
For
ऐसे
example, that's a
अरे
sentence.
अरे यार
There is a sentence that comes up
अरे
saying that
बहुत दिन
have
हो
a
रहे
horizontal coordination that will have a significant impact on the ERP post implementation process
ओके
because
दिखा
ERP is
दीजिए
just not a
इसका
software.
अगर लिंक तुमको भेज देंगे तुम इसको ओपन करके रख सकती हो
Hello.
क्योंकि मैंने
Yeah,
2 बजे
I
1
think
बजे का सीनियर
somebody has switched on
Kavita
the
ma'am.
audio.
Kavita ma'am.
Yeah. So when you talk about a horizontal coordination in the sense that the thought process is ERP when you are installing, it is a software that you are doing it at your company. But when you go to the end place now where you are delivering, like as I told you, it's a time manufacturing company or it's a company which is involved in some sort of a production. There, as such, it will give you a lot of challenges. So there you need some sort of a horizontal coordination. So here they consider saying that if the team is going to coordinate well, that will have an impact, right? So that's what is they specify as a purpose. P1B saying that horizontal coordination will have a significant impact on ERP post-implementation success. As you walk down to the paper, they discuss about more about the company's cases. For everything, they discuss about what can be the purpose that can be proposed, right? And as you see down, this speaks about the rest of the things, speaks about the paper learnings with respect to the company scenario. So the whole paper actually talks about this. So their research findings are like this. They say if you want to take an ERP scenario and you want to understand what is the impact of a change, that's a cultural change, right? They are concluding, right? This is from the paper. I'm not saying this is from the paper. They are saying with respect to the firms where they want to use an ERP, the possible type of culture that could be required would be group culture, development culture, rational culture, and hierarchical culture. And please understand, there are many other type of cultures being available. And they suggest that the type of coordination that needs to be done will be a horizontal coordination for group culture and development culture, and it will be a vertical coordination for hierarchical culture and rational culture, right? And if this is done properly, they say that the organizational success will be very high, right? This paper is more around saying that if you want to deliver a ERP software for an organization, understand the type of company, whether it's a pharmaceutical company or whether it is involved in production like that. And there they have suggested that this can be the possible cultures that can be provided. Okay. So this is how culture management can be taken together with change management for a group of people in an organization, right? So that's it from my side. So what I have tried to communicate to you is more around the concept of culture, change, morale, right? More around the thought process saying if people carry the positive thought, it goes to a positive side. If people are not finding positive as a team or they are not finding that they cannot become a leader also, then the organization is not correct. It's not the individual is not correct. The organization is not correct. The organization has to bring in some changes to ensure that the people in the organization feel that they are also the individual leaders. They are also responsible for the success, and the members in the organization should start feeling that they will stand with the failures in case it happens in the organization. That is what is accountability, which is very important as part of an organizational thought. That's it from my side, and thank you to the members for the opportunity provided. Um, if there's any questions, I'll try to answer. But the other thing from the technology side, what I would suggest is like, since I happen to be a person who work on video analytics, I usually say that if you can capture the people's thought or the expressions, right, on the face, right, or if you can capture the actions of the individuals, there also you can make a change, right? Okay, today systems are there, systems are having cameras, the cameras are capturing the live happenings. The same way, if the cameras can actually capture the set of actions that is happening within an organization, it can also become an impact for making a change in the decision that the organization is making. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for the opportunity provided. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Participants
much,
can.
sir. Uma, please
Ma'am,
continue. Please
ma'am,
continue.
please. Okay, okay. Participants can raise queries by unmuting yourself, or else you can ping it in your chat box, please. If any queries, you can directly ask, sir.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please ask. Clearly understood. Okay, fine. This topic is in fact a very apt topic in this current situation, because each one of us are part of an organization and we are working virtually, right? We are not physically available every time. Sometimes we are going, sometimes we are not in the office, but still we carry a single vision that we will stand with the organization and we have the goal to accommodate at any time. So So that's it. And I leave you my email ID. If there's something that you would like to reach back, please reach back. And if you happen or you want to work with problems which are related to video processing, right? Wherein you want to take emotions of humans, right? And you want to take some sort of models created, please reach back to me, right? Because this is having a lot of interest nowadays. People are willing to have the emotions recorded, even it's in a shop, the facial emotions, the emotions of students in a classroom, whether they like or do not like the class, right? The emotions of teachers, right? In delivery of content. And last week, when I happened to discuss with one company, they were saying that they are trying to create softwares which will do uh, assessment of people during interviews, right? The sentence the person speaks is good, but can I understand the attitude of the person from the person's face, the expression the person is trying to exhibit? Can I conclude that the person is confident or not? For that, now there are a lot of video-based systems coming up, and in fact, all of this happened to come under the topic called as video analytics. Right? This is an area that's coming up like anything. If you happen to work on any of this later to video, please reach me. Thank you from my side, and thanks to my PhD guide, Dr. S.N. Shivanandam sir. He has been my PhD guide, former professor with PhD Tech Coimbatore, and he's a person who has elevated me to a research thought which I'm delivering outside. Thank you all, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation and various analysis on culture change management, and also for your continuous support for GRG institutions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dear Professor,
And,
thank you so much. As my colleague said, we never forget your continuous support and be part of our success in organizing these FTPs. On behalf of SELF and Department Instrumentation Control Engineering and GRG Polytechnic College, we are really thankful to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. We'll stay forward. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Dear professors, already this feedback link has been posted in chat box. I think many are filling. Kindly fill before leaving the sessions. And tomorrow, as usual, fourth day of our FDP, please join by 9:15. And tomorrow we have some sessions on health, fitness, and wealth in the morning first session. I hope you all will enjoy and be out of this stress we feel is some out of box theme. So kindly join by 9:15 tomorrow. Thank you, professors. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, professor. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Kindly fill the feedback before leaving the session, because many of them are claiming that due to rain and some technical issues, we were unable to join. I know some people are joining at the end of the sessions. Even then, please fill.
Hello, madam.
Yeah, please.
Please share PPTs now.
Yeah, yes, sir. We will do, sir. We will do, sir. Because we are also employees, no, sir. And after the session, we are reaching our home and we are keeping all the VPTs in the college system itself. So,
Okay. At least in your free time, so you can just share
and
us.
whole days we are having the presentations, no, sir. So it takes time, like around the video conversion itself, it is taking half an hour to 40 minutes. We will
No,
do.
we
Yeah.
understand your appreciation and hard work.
Yes.
Anyhow, the organization you have choose the best key speakers, and they are delivering in a beautiful way. Even the
Definitely, sir.
previous
And
session and this session was really wonderful.
oh, super, sir. Thank you, sir. And definitely, sir, we will do. The thing is, evening times we are now, due to the buses are leaving the campus, so we were unable to stay back in the campus to share the videos. So at the end of the day, on Friday evening or Saturday, all the materials will be shared with you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We will wait for that.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. Definitely, we will share the material, sir. All the
Thank you.
recordings
Thank you.
we are
Thank you.
recording each and every session. We are recording. I think you might have seen, and we are keeping it ready, sir. Please share morning feedback. Already shared in the chat box, sir. Kadam sir, it is there in the chat box.
It's not there now. I am checking that it's not there. Can you please share it on
No,
WhatsApp?
no issues,
Yes.
ma'am. No, Kadam, Professor.
Yogita Kadam.
Sorry, ma'am. Professor
No,
Kadam.
it's okay.
We'll do once again. No issues. Vijay Manakar,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
Are you there?
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
Vijay Manakar, ma'am. Uma, ma'am.
Ma'am, just now shared, ma'am.
Yeah, 1, 2 morning sessions also.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll do, please. Vijay Manakam is there? Uma, madam, first session also, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'll share. Wait, ma'am. Wait.
Sony, ma'am, please wait. She is doing. Post all 3, madam. Okay, thank you, professors. Tomorrow by 9:15 we will meet again. Thank you all.